Back in its prime, The Flash was in the top 5 superhero shows of all time, and I think that everything before Crisis was actually kind of good.
You are not the Flash, Barry. We are.
Okay, well, maybe not everything. But one thing that did take me a little bit to understand fully was just how many timelines were created in this show. Whether it was Thorn, Barry, or Nora, a new timeline would just come along and change things. And in this video, I will try my best to break down each of the different timelines and explain what happens in them. Starting off, we have the original timeline. Now this is the timeline we actually know the least about. But what we do know is that Harrison Wells and his wife built Star Labs and then later go on to build the particle accelerator in the year 2020, where it blows up, creating metahumans, and among these metahumans is Barry Allen as the Flash. In this timeline, Barry has both of his parents, is married to Iris West, and works alone without a Team Flash. He goes on his own adventures and is a founding member of the Justice League. In the 25th century, we have Eobard Thawne, who is obsessed with Flash, so much so that he recreates the Speed Force, and just when he's about to debut as a hero, Barry shows up from the past during a case, steals his spotlight, which turns him into the Reverse Flash. The two of them now become rivals, until the Reverse Flash finds out that Barry Allen is the Flash.
Is the Flash.
Thawne would now attempt to erase Barry by killing him as a child in the past. However, the future Barry follows Thawne into the past, where the two of them have a fight in his house, and the future Barry saves Kid Barry. Eobard would then decide to kill Barry's mother, as he thought that if he experienced a tragedy, he would not become the Flash. This act would now create the first new timeline. While we know what happens to Thawne after this, knowledge of what happens to future Barry is very limited. We know that Iris writes a news article about the Flash's disappearance and that he was the Flash for only 4 years, and that is as much as we know about him. We are now in a new timeline that I will dub as Season 1A. I'll explain why soon. With Thawne losing his speed as there is now no Flash to inspire him, he is left stranded in the past. Thawne then goes on to kill Harrison Wells and take his life. He creates Star Labs and the particle accelerator early, with the accelerator exploding in 2013 instead of 2020. Eobard takes Barry to Star Labs, where he, alongside with Caitlin Snow and Cisco Ramon, work with Barry for him to become faster in order for Thawne to be sent back to the future. In episode 15, Cisco discovers Wells is the Reverse Flash, where Thawne kills him, and Barry is trying to stop his tsunami, but he accidentally time travels for the first time. This is now our second new timeline, where Barry finds where there was a quicker, and Cisco doesn't find out that Wells is the Reverse Flash. I've split season 1 into 2 parts, with everything before this episode being season 1A, and then everything after being season 1B, as this is a new timeline. The rest of season 1 goes as normal, but in the finale, when Barry's given the chance to go back in time and save his mom, the original Barry tells him not to, and instead of saving her, he gets one last chance to say goodbye. Barry then returns to 2015, where Eddie shoots himself to erase Thawne from existence, as Eddie is Thawne's ancestor, meaning if Eddie dies, so does Eobard. Or at least, that's what we thought. We are now in season 2, where in episode 17, Barry goes back in time for Thawne's help on how to get faster. And in doing so, there were minor changes to the timeline, with Hartley Rathaway, the Pied Piper, being good now, and helps Team Flash when needed, which is now the third new timeline. But before all this, during a crossover with The Arrow, there was a failed attempt to stop Vandal Savage, so Barry is forced to time travel again to make the plan actually work. And now that makes the timeline count 5. Guys, we're only in season 2 and we've already got 5 new timelines.
We now get to the sixth and was probably the most well-known timeline change in The Flash, that being Season 3, Episode 1, Flashpoint. Barry saves his mom from the Reverse Flash, creating a completely new timeline in which both his parents are alive, Wally is Kid Flash and he is not dating Iris West. For the record, this is the second time Barry has erased a kiss with Iris. At the end of the episode, Barry lets Dawn kill his mom, resetting the timeline-ish. Cisco's brother's now dead, Kaylin has cold powers, and Joe and Iris aren't talking. This is now the 7th new timeline, pre-Flashpoint. This time around there's a new evil speedster called Savitar who kills Iris, leaving Barry destroyed, and in one of the attempts to defeat Savitar, Barry creates time remnants and Savitar kills them all except for one. That one is then rejected by Team Flash because he isn't the real Barry Allen, leading for that time remnant to become Savitar and starting the cycle all over again. However, in episode 9, Barry is sent into the future where he sees Iris die, and the rest of the season is finding ways to prevent this. Doing so, there were small changes into the timeline, such as Kid Flash being the one to stop the Ponderer. However, the biggest change is that HR is the one that dies instead of Iris. You had one job, mate, just one. Kill Iris. It's not that complicated. You can't even do the simplest of tasks, can you? No wonder why you were rejected by Team Flash, because you're pointless, aren't you? You can't do the simplest of things. You're useless. You're useless. Piece of shit. Eventually, Savitar is stopped and Iris is still alive, unfortunately. This is now the 8th new timeline. And we actually go a whole season without Barry messing anything up. Well done, mate. I'm really proud of you. Congratulations. At least you can do something. Unlike Savitar. Before I go on to talk about this timeline, I would like to talk about what's happening in the future of this current timeline. David Hirsch becomes the meta-human killer Cicada and is never caught. Barry and Iris have a dog, Nora. Barry then disappears in the year 2024 and is still missing after 25 years. Nora discovers that she has powers and travels back in time to spend some time with her dad. However, she helps Barry destroy the Star Labs satellite, which has now created the 9th new timeline. In this timeline, Cicada appears earlier and is now Orlin Dwyer. This has also changed the future, with Orlin's niece appearing as the second Cicada. By the end of the season, the timeline is reset, which did erase that version of Nora, and is now the 10th new timeline. Right, okay, we're now in double digits. Surely nothing else happens, right? Oh, yeah. After Crisis on Infinite Earths, all of the other Earths have been combined to create one prime Earth, which means there is now an 11th new timeline, because all the history that happened on those Earths have been crammed into this new Earth. But surely nothing else happens now, right? Sake, really? Thorn changes the timeline to make sure he becomes the Flash, and Barry becomes the Reverse Flash, making this the 12th new one. Of course, Barry fixes it and changes it all, making it the 13th new one. Surely, we are done by this point. Barry is pulled to the year 2000 where he runs into Reverse Flash, who is there to kill Barry as a child. They have their fight. Barry replaces the original Flash as the one who told Season 1 Barry not to save his mum, and then is then sent back to the present. What is that now? The 14th new timeline? I'm counting this as a new timeline because it's pretty important. You know, the original Barry just does not exist anymore. He's gone. Bye-bye. Over the course of its 9-season run, The Flash had experienced 14 timelines, with the season that had the most timeline changes being Season 3. With all that being said, goodbye.